Welcome to Reptile Fight Club. It is me, Justin Jewell, I'm your host. And here in the digital space with me, Mr. Chuck Poland. What is up?
Not much. How are you?
Doing well. Doing much better today. Got my proposal off, out of my hands. So hopefully some more funding coming my way to keep me employed for another year.
Who are you proposing to?
The NIH. They're my true love. They keep me in a job, so
yeah,
gotta love them.
It kind of is your alley.
Yep, I'm part of that broken system that's just
I mean, you're not a government employee. I'm at least a government employee. If you're going to talk participant in a broken system.
You need to take that system down.
Whoa. Calm down, man. As a government employee, I can neither support or dissent on anything that has been said in this broadcast. Yeah. Thank you.
The opinions expressed by Chuck are his alone and do not represent the U.S. government.
That is correct.
Well, how's life treating you? You guys warming up out there?
Yeah, it's hot.
It's hot here, too.
Hot.
Yeah, it got really hot pretty quick. It was such a mild spring and summer, and then it just went back to how it usually is. So,
yeah,
it's not a big surprise.
It's it's almost August and it's hot as fuck in San Diego. That's pretty much how it goes. Expected. So yeah. Do you? I guess. Are you far enough away from the ocean that you don't get the kind of 70 degrees? So I'm west side of the mountains, but I'm still inland of the ocean. So the kind of the area we're at I feel like gets kind of a corridor breeze, but no, it's not like like when I drive onto the island, when I go over the bridge, I mean, it's like if you have the windows down, it's like instant like 10 degree temp drop.
Yeah.
It's just like it's the second you hit it. Yeah. So, so it's funny because like I would say like the island is 10 degrees cooler than Chula Vista, and Chula Vista is probably 20 degrees cooler than over the mountains, which is like, Campo, Borrego, Del Zura, Borrego, all that stuff. Yeah. So it's all desert on the other side.
Place, but man, that will melt you.
Oh yeah. In the summer, like, well, I love Borrego in the spring when it's not, sweltering horrible. Right. I mean, deserts are horribly hot and horribly cold. So
extreme.
And catching them at their extremes is no fun.
Yep, it bakes your brain, but that can be a good thing sometimes. I like to get, baked by the desert.
That did not work out. I tried. Desperately, I tried. So.
Oh man, I'm excited to get back out herping sometime, but I don't know how soon. It was overcast the other day. I was really tempted, but I spent time with Heidi instead. So, yep. Sometimes you got to make that choice, right?
That's correct.
I was watching the on YouTube the Catch It guys. Have you seen their stuff?
Mm-mm.
Catch It. Like I'm pretty sure that's what their name is on YouTube. But anyway, they came to Utah and they found everything like in the more montane stuff, like further north than So we found everything in St. George, so I can't complain. But they found like in the same day they got like a milk, a ringneck. I think they got a couple milks, including one with this bright red head that my buddy got. That he flipped, but it was incredible looking. And I'm like, dang it, I need to find a freaking ringneck. And they found a couple mountain kings further south, like, and they had some pretty good guides, I think. But I think they were driving along and found a spot and said, we're gonna look here, and they found a couple milks, and I think that might have been where they found the ringneck. So, and they were saying, this is a county that's not well known for these, and you could hear like cars driving by on a pretty pretty quickly.
Busy.
You know,
Yeah.
I hear the traffic going by. So like, man, that's cool. You know, more power to them. I love it when people like just say, that looks good. I'm going to look there. And they find stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this year was a good year for that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people found mountain kings except me, and a lot of people found like milk snakes except me, stuff like that. So crazy stuff. Yeah, they found a green snake, smooth green. I think it's smooth. Maybe it's rough, but yeah, one of the green snakes that occurs here. Cool stuff. It makes me wish,
but not you.
Lasted 3 or 4 months. Yeah, I haven't found a green yet either. I have seen a green when I was a kid. I found one in a tree when I was little, but it's been a long time since.
Been a while.
I need to find another one.
Yeah,
but I need to spend more time in the area where they're from because I haven't really done any herping in those areas. So.
Yep. Can't be hating on anyone else's finds when you're not out there looking, huh?
Exactly. Yep. We spent a lot of time down in southwestern Utah and found some really good stuff. So that I'm happy with that. I'm not going to begrudge anybody of their finds and be sad about not finding stuff, but it gives you motivation.
If you had to make big finds, where would you rather do it, northern or southern Utah?
Oh, I love the desert stuff. Southern Utah.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that's kind of what's been a major hindrance to me finding some of this stuff is I never thought about mountains when I thought about herping. Like I always wanted to go to the desert. Like desert stuff, that's my jam, you know, like I like it. But now lately I'm starting to get more into the mountain stuff. After doing those trips down to southern Arizona, finding the montane rattlesnakes, you know. Yeah. I'm like, okay, maybe the mountains aren't so bad. And then I'll see all the people finding mountain kings. I'm like, yeah, that would be cool to find one here. And I did look a little bit, but not enough to find one yet, I guess. So
fair.
Yeah. What do you do?
Fair.
I'm thinking maybe September, October, maybe getting out there. I don't know if I'll have time in October, but September potentially for a trip, kind of central Utah, looking for mountain kings.
Nice.
Yeah. So last eggs hatched out. I actually sexed out the inlands yesterday, and it's a pretty even split, males to females. So
nice. Holy smokes!
So hopefully they get feeding as easily as last year's. That they did pretty well, and then got pretty much all the Antaresia separated out. I think I have one more clutch that I gotta get separated out. They're all together for a little while longer, and then start getting them all feeding. So far so good, except for the pygmies. Like pretty much all this, the children's and spotteds that I've set up have taken food first try. Like now there's a couple that maybe they're holdouts, but pretty much all of them have eaten.
In your breeding succession over time, do you feel like they've gotten easier? You know, the clutches successively have gotten easier for you to get going for those species. Like, do you feel like once you kind of lock a species on, it kind of like gets a little easier?
I think so. I mean, I think, at least with the westerns, the western stems, seems like there was, where I had some stuff that was, less established or whatever, whatever you want to say there. And the first years for F1 generation, they did better than the parents, and then the second generation did better than the F1. So it just keeps improving, and maybe that's I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to quantify, I guess, and say they're better. Maybe I just don't remember, but it seems like I struggled pretty hard. But I don't know that I did everything the same. And I think these are some pretty good topics for Fight Club. We can talk about domestication, or if things get easier as you get established in captivity, or if that's just a local thing where they're used to your setup and they do better. But if you ship them to somebody else, maybe they'd revert. I don't know. It's hard to some of those things. And then what's the other one? How to do that properly, or how to, determine that in a realistic manner. How to set up an experiment. I don't know. I've been thinking about that a little bit. I don't know how to make a Fight Club topic out of it yet, but maybe we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
And then there was another one in there, but it's fled from my brain.
Bye.
So long. Farewell. Yeah. So.
We'll see it again.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in there.
It's somewhere rattling around.
That's right.
If I don't write it down,
it'll buzz you. You just have to almost step on it.
You got to have a dream and wake up and write it down.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's what it was.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool to see people finding some cool stuff in Utah, and herping in Utah it's a great place to herp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Definitely.
One of my buddies said it's a great place except for the Zion curtain. He said that's what may be keeping people out. I don't know. I don't mind it. It's cool with me, but I don't know that it packs things too much. But that was I
still feel like you got plenty of state to share.
Oh yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be indignant about Californians moving there. I'm okay with that.
Oh, of course. Everybody's got to yell about Californians moving here.
But at least, let us come see your national parks and then go back.
Yeah.
Us who shall return from where we came from can come visit, right?
You're not the problem, right?
Yeah.
Although I try not to get hassled or harassed if you got plates,
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. That's why I train mixed martial arts, man.
Is that a Mr. Miyagi thing? You train so you don't have to fight?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's why we train like we fight. Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, we do train like we fight. I hurt my calf. I strained my calf last week.
Another injury, yeah.
Yeah. So that was unfortunate, but it's just, I don't know, man. I'm getting old. Like I gotta just kind of chalk it up to So
what was I? Oh, I rode my bike to work the other day. I'm gonna ride again tomorrow, but yeah, my butt was feeling
sore.
Ouch. Like I even had the padded, biking shorts and everything, but man, it's not.
Well, no, I mean, and I strained my calf, you would think somebody kicked the shit out of me or something. Like, no, that's not what happened. I went to actually kick some Thai pads, and when I went to throw the kick, I felt something in my calf go. Yeah, so literally just from pushing off, I injured myself. So I injure myself in mixed martial arts.
The pads got the best of you.
That's how good I am. Is the battle is all internal. Yeah. I am my own training partner. It's ridiculous.
That's the way it goes after 40, I'm afraid.
Yep. So I, if nothing else, I am just a symbol to my training partners that you need to take care of your body because it will fail you in your later years if you don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I felt pretty good on my ride, but then got back and compared my times from 16, 18, last time I was riding frequently, and they were quite a bit slower. So I'm like, okay, I'm slowing down.
Well, to be fair, I mean, were you comparing the first time you rode to the first time you rode?
It was like
give yourself some time, man.
Give it a little bit of time, but I need to be more consistent.
Remember, show that young you what the older you is made out of.
Can do.
That's what it's about.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. You're so competitive. I gotta believe that you're willing to try and beat the younger you. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to give it to get over that a little bit, but I have a hard time.
No, don't do that.
I got to be the same speed as I was when I was younger. Yeah.
Well,
it's hard.
All right. So, I don't think that's a successful strategy because I have not been able to do it, but definitely, pushing your, not succumbing to age, man. That's,
I don't know.
We do hard stuff.
When I did the trip to New Zealand, my cousin brought his friend, and he was like probably good 10 years older than me, but he was on fire in shape, like walking up trails, straight uphill, just dusting me. I'm like, holy crap, I want to be like him when I'm 50 something.
Yep.
That's true though. Take care of your bodies because that comes easy when you're young. It doesn't come so easy when you're old. And you think, oh, I'm just going to train for it. But then you tweak your calf and you sit out or something.
You think you leave all that dumb shit that you do back in your younger years, but no, it just accumulates in your body and then shows up later, like all at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, enough talk about
senility and
back to snakes or something.
Yeah.
I've got one more clutch incubating, the California king snakes.
So, nice.
Yeah. Cool. It's so that'll be fun to see those guys.
What are you doing with that?
I want to release some back into where I collected the female from, just to reduce my impact. Although it's hard. It's a hard call because it's a developed area, so release them back into a developed area with the chance that they're just going to get hit by a car or killed by a hoe or something like that.
Killed by a hoe.
Not that.
Damn.
Not the way you're
what a cold way to go out, getting killed by a hoe. Oh, Justin.
There are a lot of prostitutes in there.
That was it. That's
killed.
God damn, you're on fire. You're not kidding.
Oh man. All right. But so I'm planning on releasing some of them. I'm gonna give I'm probably gonna give a couple away to some friends that are interested, but we'll see how that goes. I need to keep a male because I've got a female from that same area, so I'd like to keep that locality.
How big's the clutch?
It's like 10 eggs or so, maybe 12, something around there.
Nice. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was a decent sized clutch. I didn't expect her to lay so many. I was kind of surprised when the eggs kept coming, so it's pretty cool. But nice. Looks like one is either kicking off. Yeah, I still have another 20, 30 days on them, so one looked like it was kicking off, so we'll see.
Okay.
See how they hatch out. But I just have them at room temperature in my reptile room, so there's pretty big fluctuations in temp, so I'm hoping that doesn't do them in, Didn't have an 80 degree, or I don't even know what colubrid eggs incubate at, that kind of room temperature they can do fine. So hopefully they'll make it.
They'll be all right.
The Hosmeri are doing really well. The two babies, hanging in there and eating crickets in front of me and stuff. So that's been fun. My female Depressa is still pretty big, but I don't know. Maybe she's just eating a lot. So we'll see. See if anything comes of that. Got those 2 litters of skinks, so if anybody want to buy some wholesale skinks, hit me up. I would like to get rid of those quickly, but other than that, it's slowing down a little bit in the incubator, but it's picking up in the reptile room. Yeah, I need to move some animals here.
I just fed a bunch of snakes last night or yesterday, and man, it took me like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? I don't even have that many snakes. Like, what the fuck? So.
Yeah, that's it can be a time consumer.
Yeah. Well, it's stupid because I keep on like a shredded aspen. Mm-hmm. It's like a
yeah. That's what I used to.
Yeah. So I put a paper towel down because usually my rodents are wet. And then, like, they'll get on, it'll get the bedding all over it, sticks to the rodent, and then it gets ingested. So I just, like, offer it, let them wrap it, and then just take a paper towel and set it underneath them and then set it down and let them eat it. It's the stupidest freaking shit ever. But it works, and it makes me feel safe, and they don't ingest substrate. So that's what I'm doing, and that's why it takes me
wild without
forever.
You.
I know, right? I know. Well, apparently the rats know to stay dry in the wild.
Yeah. Then again, I'm feeding pre-killed from my rodent colony, so I don't have to thaw.
Are you just starting live then, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much, So, yeah, I probably should thaw some out every once in a while and bulk some of the animals out, but
I wouldn't. I think the way you do it's fine. I have such.
Well, I need to rotate the frozen stuff. You know what I mean?
I get it from that. Yeah. And that's But that's kind of good, getting them going. Because I just think live's so much better to get, little carpets started on. Sure. They seem to key in on that movement. Something like like a fuzzy that doesn't have his eyes open, something like that. And
for sure.
Just drop it in there and all day long, man. Easy money.
Yeah. They're pretty good for that. Yeah, so I don't know. I've been enjoying myself out in the herp room and seeing the babies. That's always a fun thing, other than the added workload that it brings with it. Got a couple reptile shows. Hopefully, I can.
When's your what's
There's one in
show?
September here in Utah, and then I'm trying to decide. I don't know if I've got. I may look around and see if somebody wants to share some space on. Well, I'm just going to Tinley for Thursday through Saturday or Wednesday through Saturday. So I'm leaving Saturday night. So I don't know what I'm going to... I was thinking of just getting home because I got to turn around and head out to Australia like the next week.
Yeah.
Or later that week. So
that sucks.
I don't want to lose a whole weekend. So I'm going to skip Sunday and come home and be with my family anyway. But, I was thinking having somebody share a table with me, but then I'd have...
You want to deal with animals on top of all that extra travel? You'll regret that. You'll regret
ship
that.
the animals back or something. Yeah, it would be kind of a pain. I mean, I did that last time I went to the Gecko Symposium in Tinley last time and sold quite a few animals, so it was a good deal, but yeah.
Maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. So... I think they're doing like a little animal swap at the Gecko Symposium. So I don't know. Get your tickets if you haven't gotten them yet. You listeners out there that are interested in geckos or reptiles in general, it's always cool to learn about different groups, I think, and see the applications you can have to your own stuff that you're interested in. But yeah, should be fun. But I probably won't be bringing animals to that show. So...
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't. I don't think I would.
All right. Well, anything else you want to ramble about, or are we ready to fight?
No, let's move on to the reason we are here.
Okay. Well,
what brings us together?
So, yeah, we've got a topic to fight about. We got a listener from Australia, Jameson Brody. He recommended a topic. I'm assuming he. I get. Are there girls named Jameson? I'm pretty sure it's a guy, right? Anyway, what's the difference between a herpetologist and a herpetoculturalist? Is there, can you cross the line over from herpetoculture into herpetology? Or I imagine vice versa probably wouldn't be much of an issue, but. So yeah, we'll talk about that, I suppose. I think it was kind of brought up in the context of, he's a zookeeper. And so, when you're a zookeeper, you might be involved with different conservation efforts or studies to, better understand the animals. And if you're not a degreed herpetologist, does that kind of experience bring you into the herpetologist realm? So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and do a little coin toss. Give it a call there.
Heads.
Is tails. You have lost, my friend. So let's see. I guess let's phrase the topic. Can you become or the now we're I should have thought about this a little better before we hit record, but can you cross over from herpetoculture to herpetology? Do we want to phrase it like that?
Sure.
Okay. Then I guess I would go with I think it's possible. I think there's a way to make that cross. So you would be no, you can't do that. There's a strict policy for becoming a herpetologist, and this is the only way. Okay.
Got it.
All right. Well, if you've got it, go ahead and start us out as the loser of the coin toss.
Well, I will start out by pointing out the obvious, that you're not a herpetologist until you get a good degree in herpetology. So no degree, no name, no way, no how.
No herpetologist.
You can play herpetologist, but you can't be one in real life because that is an academic degree.
Now,
if you don't have the academic degree, by definition, you are not.
So if you what degree are you talking about? What degree do you need to be called a herpetologist? Is it a PhD? Well, is it a master's? Is it a bachelor's? Is it an associate's? What degree do you need?
Well, so I guess you could call yourself a herpetologist if you get a degree in herpetology. So if you had a bachelor's in herpetology, if they offered that, or if you do a master's program, or you do graduate work and you become a professor, I would say all of those come with a piece of paper that either say something, 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 doctor, Mr. herpetologist, right?
Okay. I see where you're coming from. I
right.
You know, of course, you know.
There's just a solid wall of like. There's just a solid wall of this is how that works, right?
Okay.
Like, right?
Well, I guess I would maybe counter that with there's a researcher, a virologist, right? Mm-hmm, and I believe, I guess he probably has a bachelor's, but he's kind of older guy, so he came up and he doesn't have a PhD, okay. And so, but, you know, still directs research and does a lot of cool studies and things like that. So he's definitely a virologist. So, and, you know, this day and age, like, I think you'd be hard pressed to do herpetology research, or at least direct herpetology research, unless you have a PhD. You know, very few universities or labs or whatever are going to hire you. But what about like venom extraction labs or things like that? Like, you know, where you don't necessarily need a degree. A lot of it's on the job training or learning on the job kind of things. I don't know that there's anybody teaching you how to be. Would you consider those guys herpetologists?
Okay. I think we need to back up and define what herpetology is then.
Well, I mean, just generally speaking, herpetology is the study of reptiles and amphibians. So if you're studying reptiles and amphibians in any way, you would probably be considered a herpetologist, even if you don't necessarily have a degree in herpetology. So I guess that would.
So anybody, okay, all right.
So what does it mean to study?
So anybody in their half-assery idea of what science is could just go off and be a herpetologist. Is what you're saying? That's what you're trying to reduce this to.
That's
you pretty much disrespected my whole like. There's a piece of paper and a lot of work that goes into that. You know, you pretty much pooped on it. You pooped on it.
No, you got that point. You got that point. You got it.
I know, and then you proceeded to poop on it.
But I'm just saying, is there an alternative? That's the whole question, right? And I think you probably could say, yeah, like, and maybe a venom lab or like a zoo or like kind of like our.
But I don't think that even zookeepers would. Mm-hmm. I don't think Steve would be like, I'm a herpetologist. I don't think so.
Well, and that's the hard thing is like, when do you call it? Like, would I be a herpetologist? You know, writing books. Yeah.
No, you're an author if you write books.
In the area of herpetology that requires maybe some studies data collection,
like,
or you know what I mean?
Well, okay.
Like what?
Why did? Okay, we'll go back. I don't know if I can say this. I hope I can say this.
Yeah.
Remember Dave Barker gave you a suggestion about not putting something in your book? What was that? Do you remember?
Oh, my PhD?
Yes.
Yeah.
And why did he say that?
He said because you don't have a PhD in herpetology.
Right. And it might confuse somebody to think that you're a doctor in herpetology, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it kind of really, it really implies to me at least that, hey man, Dave Barker looks at it very, very strict of like, hey, if this is a discipline of study and a path of learning. If you have not engaged in that study or that path of learning academically, you don't get to call yourself that, right? Mm-hmm. Right or wrong. And I could, for the other side of this, I totally get why people are like, yeah, fuck academics, they're assholes, because of that kind of a mentality of like, nope, you can't call yourself that because you didn't do our thing, right? Like, mm-hmm. I get that part, but yeah. But I think in this case, you know, what's wrong with does everybody have to be a herpetologist, or can we be herpetoculturalists? Mm-hmm. Like, can we just be okay with the fact that we didn't go get the professional degree and that we're not professionals at this? And I was throwing air quotes up in case anybody.
Oh yeah. Well, many herpetologists, even, you know, by their own admission, like Rick Shine, you know, he's like, I'm not cut out to really keep these things in captivity. He admitted like he didn't do so great at that, and kind of stopped doing it, you know. And so, you know, I don't know that that's necessarily, like, I think people see it as that, like, oh, you're not a herpetologist, you're a lowly herpetoculturalist. But, you know, I think that takes skill and learning and
absolutely.
You know,
I mean, yeah. So I would argue like the herpetoculturalist is the keeper, is the venom extractor, is, you know, the person who is the blue collar of reptiles, has the hands-on knowledge, is actually a great source of knowledge in working with these animals because of all the experience that they have, if that gets tapped. But often it doesn't get tapped because academia doesn't want to, or, you know, professional like AZA accreditations don't want to kind of, you know, go over there, right?
Sure. I mean, I guess, you know, you're looking at a career herpetologist. What I'm saying is, can you be a hobby herpetologist? Like, so if I spend my time,
hobby herpetologist?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so if I do all the things a herpetologist does, but I don't have a degree, but I'm out in the field collecting data, I'm publishing papers, I'm writing books, I'm doing these things that a herpetologist does, but I don't have a degree, so I can't be a herpetologist. I don't buy that. I think you could definitely be a herpetologist if you're doing the things a herpetologist does. Just because you don't have a degree, or you're not working at a university, or you don't have funding to do that research, if you're self-funding, it's still herpetology. You're still studying reptiles and amphibians and disseminating that information. That's all a herpetologist is. I don't think there's anywhere written that says we will not hire you unless you have a degree. I think it's strongly, you know, recommended. But I mean, if you spent your whole life studying things kind of as a hobby, and you were a lawyer, say, but you spent a lot of time out in the field and you published papers and wrote books, and then you said, I want to change it up. I'm 55. I'm going to go be a herpetologist for 10 years. I imagine with that, like, you know, you say either a degree in herpetology, a PhD in herpetology, or 20 years experience. You've got that 20 years experience. You can go get a job as a herpetologist, you know, get paid to be a herpetologist. I mean, I still think you can be a hobby herpetologist, you know, if you're doing the things a herpetologist does.
Hoser sure is a taxonomist. You're so right, dude. You're right.
He is attempting to do a taxonomy, right? And he's got some fair points in some areas, but, you know, he misses the mark on a lot of areas.
Listen.
So
I think
and professional herpetologists do that too. Like they do stuff like call Stimson's pythons children's pythons, and everybody buys into it because they have a PhD or whatever. You know,
Jesus,
shots fired, but
God damn.
But
all right,
well, I'm not saying. I don't think, you know, using the worst example of a taxonomist like goes against what I'm saying, you know. And no, you can have good and bad in hobby herpetology.
I think that you can sit there in your house and be like, I'm a fucking herpetologist if you want to. Sure. If you want to publish papers, they could be crap. They you know, it could be all nonsense, and if that's what you want to call yourself, sure, that's fine. But nobody else in that community, unless you're really publishing, you know, into if you're doing good work, I could see a case for that. Mm-hmm. That said, you're still.
I guess when do you cross that line?
Well, and I don't know. And, I don't know how.
Do you have to have recognition of people?
I don't know how your peers would view you. Your professional peers would view you, because
I guess maybe one measure could be like if you say, like the IHS, the International Herpetological Symposium. Yep. People go there. They don't necessarily have a degree in herpetology, but they've been doing research. And I think somebody just was posting about that. He works with Acrocortis, the file snakes. Why is his name escaping me? Of course his name's escaping me. All names escape my brain. So anyway, he posted his, he gave a talk at the IHS meeting on the file snakes, right? Mm-hmm. And I believe it's mostly based on Mike somebody. Anyway, he his research is mostly based on captive husbandry and keeping and things like that. But he gets out in the field. He goes and sees stuff in the field. He had a show on Behind the Glass or whatever that was. Did you ever see that show? It's pretty cool. Cool concept. Mike Clarkson. That's his name, okay. Right? Anyway, he I'm pretty sure that was him that did that show too. So he showed or kind of went out and found stuff in the wild and showed how it could, the temperatures it was experiencing. Dave Kaufman did a similar thing too to that, where you take temperatures and show their habitat and kind of watch them, what they're doing and where they're going, that kind of thing. So pretty cool. Anyway, he spoke at IHS. I don't know, would that be a step towards being a herpetologist? If you're being recognized as, having worthy information to present at a herpetological conference, and I don't know if that's a strictly academic conference, if academics attend or whatnot. What about a zoo that's breeding a rare species and they go to our buddy Brett Baldwin, looking at Ethiopian mountain vipers, the Bitis parviocula. Mm-hmm. He gave a talk on those and showed habitat, showed their incubation and all that kind of stuff, and pretty cool, Yeah. Is he a herpetologist or is he just a zookeeper, herpetoculturalist?
Well, I think he's retired now, but
is he? Okay.
I would say he's a zookeeper.
I don't know if he has a degree or anything like that, but what is a zookeeper? Is it a herpetologist or a herpetoculturalist? Where do you draw the line? I would say it's dependent on if you're doing research and disseminating that information.
I would say a zookeeper is a zookeeper if you want to shove them into that square, round, or triangular peg you're trying to plug everybody through, then you can call them whatever you want. But again, I'll go back to my de facto. It's a degree. It's an area of...
Steve got his degree and he got a BS in herpetology or that area.
I thought it was animal behavioral science or something like that.
Okay. Well, a lot of these people who are publishing papers on reptiles...
Did you just try to bullshit me?
I thought it was in the
dirty
herpetology.
Bastard.
That's what he was interested in. Maybe they didn't have a degree in herpetology.
They didn't. I don't think.
I guess that's the question. If you do you have to get a degree in herpetology to do herpetological research? And I think there's a lot of good examples of that. If you're studying evolution, you might study a group of reptiles, but does that make you an evolutionary biologist or
but didn't you just tell me that nobody's going to give you money unless you have a degree in herpetology as a doctorate to do research?
Or if you self-fund the research, right?
Okay.
Well, no, people do that. They go out in the field or they go into the museum and look at preserved specimens. They do similar work to what a herpetologist would do. So I don't know. I think about Frank Reedes. He's out in the field all the time watching desert iguanas, and sharing his observations. He's not publishing papers necessarily, and so I don't know. But, he's definitely a field biologist or, in that realm. So, I don't know.
Does he have a degree in biology?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's publishing with other people. Like, he's out there with, you know, other field biologists or ethologists or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whoever he's hanging out with. And, but, you know, he's making a scientific contribution to those papers. It's not like he's just kind of tacking his name on there. You know what I mean?
I get it. I don't know, man. We're living in the time where anybody can identify as anything they want. And I think if you want to identify as a herpetologist, people, you just go ahead and you do it. You do it.
Yeah. I see how you're playing this.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. You California, the coastal elites in your ivory towers, keeping people out of herpetology.
Listen, the ivory tower is open and people are leaving at their leisure here. Get out. I don't need you in my ivory tower.
Well, they're all coming here, huh? Texas,
to yours.
Or at least we're the ones who complain about it the most. No. I would have to say if you are doing herpetological research, you are a herpetologist, and I think that's kind of what would define when you cross the line. Like if you're at a zoo and you're, you know, just taking care of animals and making sure they're happy and thriving and being good display animals, I would say you're probably not crossing that herpetology line, right?
What about somebody who's like going to school and they haven't got their degree yet, but they're doing research and somebody comes up to them and they're like, hey, what do you do? Would they be like, oh, I'm a herpetologist? Or would they say, oh, I'm a research student?
Yeah, right.
They would say, I'm a research student.
I'm a herpetologist.
No, they wouldn't. They'd say, I'm a fucking research student because they don't have a goddamn piece of paper yet.
The person would say, oh, you study reptiles and amphibians? And they would say, yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I do. I study reptiles and amphibians.
No.
I'm a herpetologist.
No.
Man, I don't know. You guys in your papers.
You can identify as anything you want.
Just because you got a degree.
I'm just saying. Listen, I didn't make it. This isn't me making this stuff up. You either go to a school that has a program to get the degree, or you self-assign yourself as that thing and you move on with your life.
Okay, so you can't gain expertise unless you have a degree.
That's not what I said.
Well, I mean,
that's 100% not what I said.
Knowing about reptiles and studying reptiles.
Yep.
So you don't need a degree to do that. Yeah, that's.
You don't need a degree to do that.
You don't. So you can be a herpetologist without a degree.
No, you could be a research student.
What about people back in the Middle Ages or whatever, you know, that were studying things, or they didn't really have.
Yeah, but they didn't have a dumb naming system where they were like, oh, you must address me as a herpetologist now. They just studied stuff.
Yeah, and they would have been considered early herpetologists, right?
If they knew about that kind of stuff, but they didn't. They just studied stuff, and they weren't so hung up on the naming of everything.
Oh, man. No, that was when it was big, right? Back then.
Well, they would just name stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Like 1800s. That's
go naming stuff. They weren't fighting over whether
they were just taxonomists.
This person deserved to be this name or not. Now we're trying to parse the names out.
That's another fun fight, is if you should name things after people or, you know, not, because a lot of those are problematic these days. I don't know, the guys on the other podcast. Oh man,
okay.
I don't even start these sentences without the British guys that talk about studies and stuff.
Oh. God damn it, you had to say it like that. Now I forgot the name of it.
It's so easy. It's so easy to remember these things, isn't it?
Shut up. I shall not take ridicule about a name from you, sir.
Herpetological highlights.
That's what I was going to say right before you after you said it.
Right
after you said it.
Yeah. But you know, I don't know. I think.
I mean, don't you?
You're stepping on my dreams, man. I want to be a herpetologist without getting a degree in herpetology.
Yeah, but don't you feel like that there's like this? So you have an institution of learning that has a curriculum that you go through, and it's organized by professionals in that area of study, so they're directing your learning. And I'm not saying that somebody who is knowledgeable about scientific method and doing research on their own can't make a contribution, but it's not the same thing as going through somebody else's program. You're doing the research you want to do the way you want to do it, publishing it, whatever. Cool, got it. But I think that it would be offensive to everybody who actually went through a program of study and had to go through all of this stuff if it was just like, oh yeah, you have to either do this or you can kind of do whatever you want and just publish it and you can call yourself a herpetologist.
Isn't that just
what I mean?
Like,
I agree. It is. It 100% is. It 100% is. But people invested money, time, and energy, and it's a career for them. It's a life path. And to have it to be like, oh, well, you could do that, or, you can do your own thing, whatever you want, and just do it. And that's and fine, you get to figure out how to make that living or whatever, if you can do it, so fine, so be it. I'm just saying that I don't know. Like, I think if I just saw people who were like, yeah, I read the last IPCC report and I've been watching the weather and I read a textbook on climate, I'm an environmental scientist. I'd be like, the fuck you are? Explain to me what makes you an environmental scientist in that standpoint. How are you? Oh, well, I do research. Well, what do you research? Oh, I'm collecting temperature data in my area. Okay. Well, how are you contributing to greater climate research with that? Right. Like, how are you? And I guess what I'm saying is, if you are contributing to greater research in the purview of academia, coupled to that, I guess I could say, yeah, you know what, that's fair. And even as if I were a herpetologist, I would accept that person. But just to be, just to let anybody say they're a herpetologist without kind of that level of participation in the field, I don't know, man. I just don't think that would sit with me. Like, again, I don't care. I'm a Californian. Do whatever you want. Identify however you want. But, I'm just saying, like, somebody from that field, I don't know how they would feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, granted, let's bring up a fun little farcical example. Good Will Hunting, right? He's a genius that studies stuff on his own time. He understands everything. He can do math or whatever. So he writes on the board at Harvard. Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
But
I feel like if you haven't seen it by now, like,
yeah, your ship is sailed. Great show. I love.
You're gonna love us. You're gonna love us when you figure out that we ruined it for you.
Yeah, and so. He's discovered by one of the professors there, and he gets offered all these jobs, right? I imagine in the real world, like, that might not happen that way. But again, if you're a bona fide genius, you're schooling this mathematician, professor in math, and you're schooling him with your, the learning that you've done kind of on your own as a hobby.
Yeah, but you're using Rain Man as your example. But not everybody's fucking Rain Man.
I'm just saying, Good Will Hunting goes into the herpetology lab and
I get it.
Writes some theory on the board.
Like, yes, I'm a very good driver.
He just changed herpetology. You know what I mean? So I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, granted that's a funny example, and maybe it wouldn't happen, but you never know. And I think to exclude those people just because they don't have the paper, would maybe be a misstep, and maybe would not allow those useful contributions to science.
But, hold on.
With the things they can do. And to say, oh, no, you have to go back and get your degree or whatever, People are going to recognize this is brilliance. I'm going to, give them a job or fund them or whatever because they know the subject. They don't necessarily. I think there's some bypasses for that degree. You know what I mean? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, so, I mean, they'll fund them if they think the research is going to go somewhere.
Sure. Right. And I mean, again, that's probably one in a million or billion people that go into
and they'll support them and they'll support them as long as
you have the ideas and you have a track record, showing, he can do this stuff. He can do this research and he can carry it out and he can publish papers or whatever. You'll probably get funded even if you may not have the degree. I don't know. Maybe it would be a much harder road for sure.
Oh, I definitely think it would. I think that we underestimate the kind of force that academia plays on, kind of the wall of academia. You kind of understand what I mean by that, but it's like, I really feel like there is this, hey, if you're not in this, if you don't do this, you're not this and you're over there. You know what I mean? And we speak one language and you speak that language and we don't want you to understand what we do. You know what I mean? Like there's very much a stay out. And that's why I feel like there would be an unacceptance in some, at some level from academia towards, the more, home, self-made herpetoculturists.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other way around is very easy. Kind of herpetoculture is kind of a catch-all for anybody who wants to keep reptiles. And, maybe you could have the same argument for that and be like, no, you're not a herpetoculturalist unless you've successfully reproduced, X number of species, kept them for 20 years, that kind of thing. You could probably gatekeep that title as well. There's not really, I guess there may be a degree or two that you can get in, zoo keeping or herpetoculture. I guess an example would be Zach Loafman's program there at West Liberty and things like that. So I think
but you can get into zookeeping with a biology degree or
no degree. I mean, if you start zookeeping when you're 15 and by the time you're an adult you've got 10 years of experience, you're like, I'm a zookeeper even though I didn't get a degree in it, or it's that experience. And I think that's kind of what I'm suggesting, is that you can apply the same to herpetology and say, I've been doing herpetology for 20 years. I'm a herpetologist. Even though I didn't get a degree in it, I've been in a lab. I got hired in a lab without a bachelor's, and I've been working under Professor Rick Shine, and I've been doing research in herpetology for 10, 20 years. I'm a herpetologist. I don't think that's a far stretch to call yourself a herpetologist, because you are studying reptiles and amphibians, even if you're not a PhD or a master's or a bachelor's even. So, but you could go the extreme other way and say you're not a herpetologist unless you're directing research in a lab and you have a PhD or at least a master's or something. You could go the other way and be a little more stringent, than you're already being. Man, somebody with a bachelor's being a herpetologist? I don't think so.
Well, and I mean, what is a herpetologist? Is that designing, gathering, publishing. Yeah. I mean, that's all of it, right? You have to be doing. I think
so. I think that.
You have to be a bona fide researcher. You have to be contributing and publishing. I think that's kind of like the mark, right?
Sure. And you have to be disseminating that information. And you look at Rick Shine and a lot of studies he did early on in his career were pretty simple. Like he went to museums, and it was surprising that nobody thought about this, but he went to museums, got preserved specimens, saw what their diet was, what their reproductive mode was, things like that people didn't know, he published a lot of papers in that regard. And then that he built his career on top of those and kept moving forward and building, different hypotheses off of the things that he would learn that way. And, made probably the most impressive herpetological career of our time.
Yeah.
Just really
but it's an admittedly horrible, herpetoculturalist, right?
Exactly.
Self-admitted, right? So, I mean, and I guess this starts to get at me where it's like, oh, I want to call myself this thing because I look at it as it's the whole name thing. It's the whole getting into the names. And sure. I feel like we take this, herpetoculturalist as a negative connotation from from each other or from professionals or how, I don't know where it comes from, but it always kind of feels like it's said as well, we're not professionals, like, or whatever, academics, like it's a lay person's name or something like that. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of it is just comes from the wanting to fight, to overcome that, being labeled as such. Right. And then the whole academic portion of it where it's like, they have to be the professional name and, naming of stuff. So it's, I think the name's getting in the way of and again, I don't care. Call yourself what you want is how I'm going to end this. But I get what you're saying, and I agree with that. I mean, I think to call yourself a herpetology, if you're not involved in scientific studies, if you're not publishing, you show kind of a naivety or kind of almost a foolishness. Like, okay. Good job, buddy. You can call yourself whatever you want, but exactly. Yeah. Call yourself whatever you want, but nobody in that field is going to take you seriously. Yeah. But now, conversely, if you're, somebody who's just like very scientifically minded, self-trained, self-taught, and you're doing great research and you're publishing it and you're fantastic, I think you'll absolutely be accepted by the shines and the great researchers who recognize your awesome contribution. And I don't think anybody would be like, hey, don't you dare call yourself that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's the way anybody would be. But I do think that those professionals have worked hard enough that they would take offense at somebody using it carte blanche. And
I don't know like what stage you actually can start calling yourself a herpetologist. Do you have to have a certain number of papers published, or do you have to have a certain amount of work, years in the field? I mean, if you just got your degree, a bachelor's degree, and you say I'm a herpetologist, well, are you? Now I'm taking your side, but it goes
it's hard
both
not to.
ways. And although I think you can get there by a non-degree way, or it's an uphill battle for sure. It's a lot harder.
It's an uphill battle, and I mean, I'm not saying you gotta like suck it up and go get the degree, but gosh, man, if you're doing all this research, at some point, aren't you going to start collaborating with those professionals and it's.
I guess kind of I have maybe hoop dreams of like when I retire, following around rattlesnakes, doing a study, publishing a paper or something. That falls in the realm of herpetology, and I would be acting as a herpetologist, so I could probably call myself a herpetologist at that point. I've published papers in herpetology journals and or at least on herpetological subjects, published books, that kind of thing. I can't, like, people introduce me and say, oh, he's a herpetologist. And I usually correct them and say, well, actually, I'm a virologist with an interest in herpetology. But, I don't call myself a herpetologist, even though I feel like I've made contributions and maybe their contributions to herpetoculture, because the books are more focused on learning about them in the wild, but also keeping them. So, you know, applying, you know, the research type stuff to herpetoculture. So maybe I'm more of a herpetoculturalist in that regard, and there's no shame in that, for sure.
And there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just names, you know, and like who you are and what you're doing and your passion, and that's far more significant than what you call yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
because I mean, herpetology covers a range of subjects, you know.
Sure.
You can be involved with, you know, just looking at what's, you know, if they're egg layers or not, you know, some of Rick Shine's papers, you know, or when do they reproduce? When is there, you know, if you're finding this stuff out of species that it's not very well known, or you're making observations in the field, or you're looking at museum specimens, or you're, you know, there's a lot of different aspects like ethology, or how they interact with other animals in the field. And that's a lot of what Frank's doing out there in Arizona, you know, looking at desert iguanas and how they interact with zebra-tailed lizards, or, you know, or whip snakes or whatever, you know. So I think, you know, you can do a lot of cool things in herpetology, and it covers a broad array of things. You know, if you're in a zoo, you look at, you know, maybe you're trying to keep them better, or find a way that, you know, others can replicate and keep things alive better, or reproduce bolini or something like that, you know, and you publish those papers if you're disseminating that information. But again, is you know, that care and keeping, does that fall under herpetoculture? And if so, why not? That's a great thing
right.
Yeah, it's a great title to have. and I think you might be right. Like, it's just not seen as a professional career. You know, it's seen as like the blue collar version of a herpetologist.
And it's just a simple thing. What side of that do you want to be on? Because I know a lot of people who'd rather be on I'm a hands-on dude. I'm a blue collar guy, man. I'm now in a white collar job. But it's weird for me because my tendencies always go to my blue collar, get out there, get out with the guys in the plant, go around, make sure, you know, work with them directly at that level. And I think I prefer that. I think there's probably a lot of, you know, herpetoculturalists who would prefer working with the animals than to doing straight research. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't think anybody would be happy doing straight research if you were used to working with animals.
Yeah.
Unless you're working with research animals, in which case that's more of a job than enjoyment. And I would argue, like, I mean, maybe in a zoo setting, I would say that's more enjoyable. But for a research purpose, you're really working with that animal strictly for, you know, observational research purposes, data gathering. It's very, you know, it shouldn't be like, it's a clinical thing. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, I'm not saying you can't garner some satisfaction out of doing it. I'm just saying, like, that's not there for your enjoyment. That's not there for your fun, you know? Yeah. So,
hey, maybe we need to elevate the title of herpetoculturalist, you know, like we said, you know, a lot of researchers don't have a very good grasp on how to keep these things in captivity, and the animals die, or they languish, or they have disease or something, you know, and they kind of clueless in some regards. I've heard
plenty
some
of herpetoculturalists doing it better than zoos and horticulturalists.
Here's my best example of that. I went into a herpetology lab, and they had a shingleback skink that was a confiscation, and a blotched blue tongue that was also a confiscation, and they were keeping them in a freaking crate, like a wooden crate, without substrate, no lighting, and very small area. And I'm like, really? Like, this is, you know, these amazing animals that somebody tried to smuggle to enjoy, you know, and they got confiscated, and let's give it to the herpetology lab because they know what they're doing, and they're kept in squalor. It's like, I was so tempted just to take those things home, like give them a good home, you know, like it was heartbreaking. And then they died, you know, a few years later, like,
of course,
really, like, this is what we're doing, you know? So Yeah, just because you're a herpetologist.
And that is a absolute point taken, man. It's very and you know, I listen. I see this, and anybody who has worked with, and if you're an engineer, I'm sorry, but you know, engineers, man, they like are a different breed. Like, and they don't, you know, I always, when I had to work with engineers, wanted to take them and physically show them, because they get it. They see it on a piece of paper and they get it in their head, but they've never done the actual mechanics of taking their fucking work apart and putting it back together. So it's like, no, dude, come look, come see. Then they see it and they're like, oh, then they get it. You know what I mean? So, you know,
that's again, like a lot of these taxonomists that are taxonomists, not herpetologists, you know, and they're naming things and they're saying these things are related to each other or these things are different. And you're like, have you actually even seen the animal? Like, are you just playing with DNA tubes? You know, do you even know? Like, have you seen them in the wild? Have you looked at them side by side? Because they're nothing alike. You know, they shouldn't.
And that's really interesting about you know, the fact that, you know, you have herpetologists who aren't taxonomists and taxonomists that aren't herpetologists, right? But one's naming, you know,
the
what it is, and doesn't know, you know what I mean? Like he knows the class, and I guess he's educated. In you know,
he's the expert
in classification, how to classify, but at the same time, he's not an expert in reptiles, right? So.
And I think this is where collaboration comes in.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
That's a great reason to collaborate with somebody who's studied them in the field or knows, you know, has a good concept of what they're doing in the wild or where they're found. And I think that's where a lot of herpetoculturalists get frustrated, is because they do spend a lot of their time looking at the animals that they enjoy or out in the field, you know, and studying them and learning everything there is to know about them. And then to have some, you know, papered expert come along and just say something ridiculous about them is almost insulting, you know, where that hobbyist is probably more of a herpetologist than the herpetologist that's studying that animal.
And I think that's where the frustration comes out, is when you see a herpetologist, you know, say or do something that the herpetoculturist says, what the fuck, you know. Like that just totally adds to the whole, like, you know, why is this, what makes this guy special? Obviously he doesn't know what he's doing, you know. And
that's true for like zookeepers and herpetoculturalists as well, where they're like, oh, well, they do it for money, so they must be, you know, dirty, creepy people, professionals. You know, we do it professionally, and we sell them to other zoos, and great, but at the same time, you know, like there's some weird things that go on at zoos, and there's some, you know, not great examples of what happens at zoos too. So,
and I mean, you know, it's a.
Nobody should be holding their nose up at somebody else. You know, there should be no.
It seems like everybody lives in a glass house around here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And, you know, I get it. Like you said, there are some people that kind of come in and try to fake it or try to, you know, assume too many airs or whatever. Like, I'm a herpetoculturalist, or, you know, well, okay, buddy, you know, get more than that one leopard gecko, and then we'll see if you're, you know, really a herpetoculturalist or not. You know, so. That's it's tricky. It's a tricky topic. I like this discussion though. It's kind of it's a good one. Yeah. Anything else to add? I would say, regardless of what you want to call yourself, learn about stuff. I mean, if you're keeping something, know where it's from, know what it does in the wild. Don't just keep it because it's worth some money and, you know, those kind of things. And I mean, try to make contributions to science. I think that's kind of the fun part, you know, learning about what and gaining knowledge that maybe isn't widely known, and helping others to learn that too. I think Roy Arthur Blodgett's a good example of that, where he's keeping kind of lesser kept species, and he's doing these deep dives on like Instagram or you know, looking, or iNaturalists, looking at them in their habitat and looking at the plants they interact with, or, you know, maybe seeing a picture of something there where they're drinking out of a bromeliad or whatever, you know, and then incorporating that into his herpetoculture. I think that's a cool example of that. So I think we need more Roys, you know, in the hobby, doing it that way, rather than just keeping them in a small as possible box to pump out as many as you can. And again, there's a place for that too, you know. PetSmart needs to sell snakes too. And so, you know, there's a need for that farming aspect as well as the more herpetocultural aspect of it. And maybe that's another discussion we can have. Are you a farmer or you're a herpetoculturalist? Is there a difference there, you know? Because
my God, I'm living in a naming nightmare. Oh my God.
Chuck hates labels. He's been labeled too many horrible things in his life. He needs to shed those labels. And all right, elevate herpetoculture, and the term. And I mean, that term came from the man himself, Philippe. You know, and I think he intended it with that aspect of like, this is an important area of herpetoculture. We need to take care of these things, learn how to take care of them in captivity, because people are going to keep them, you know, and we could go back 30 years and see how people were keeping them and say, are we improving on that? Or is it worse? You know, you look at the cat house of the zoo, you know, 30 years ago and compare it to the cat house of the zoo today. You know, is it the same thing? Not so much. Back when I was a kid and we'd go to the zoo, the cat house was like these jail cells, you know. You had a good diversity because you could see 30 big cats in a day, but all they were is just pacing back and forth in these jail cells, basically, that had maybe a log in them or something. And now you go to the zoo and it's like this expansive field and rocks and streams flowing through and trees to climb, and you're like, okay, that's much better. Could it be better than that? Probably, but that's a good step in the right direction. Yeah, you know? Yeah. So,
yep.
But if you're trying to pump out tigers, is that a better way to do it? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the jail cell is a bit. I don't know. That's an easier way to produce a lot of tigers. Look at Tiger King. You know. I don't know. Maybe we won't go there. But
yeah. Probably shouldn't.
Well, we got fired up on this one. This was a good topic to talk about. And I think it's, you know, people have feelings involved with this, you know, where they're told, no, you're not this because you don't do this, or you don't have the paper, or you are too this or that, you know. I think just do it, you know, get out there and do what you love, and who cares about the label? I don't know. Yeah. That's the main thing. Do what you love. All right. Well, good stuff. Yeah. What else you got? Any
That's it.
Reptile news lately?
You know me. I'm not Mr. Reptile News.
Yeah, I got a nice little package in the mail the other day.
What?
Yeah, from our good friend, Mr. Bobby Pebbles.
Oh, nice. What'd he send you?
He sent me a book full of cool books on Native American
he sent you a book full of books?
A box full of books.
A box full of books.
Okay. Yeah.
A box of
4 or 5 books on.
Nice.
I think I mentioned in a phone conversation the other day that I was really into that kind of stuff. You know,
what a guy, dude. American. That's nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I'm excited to dive into those and start a little reading. I'm not the best reader. Like I've been doing more audiobooks or podcasts, which is kind of the dead book, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to try not to insult you and ask this. Yeah. You mean like you just like you go to lay down and rather than read, you fall asleep, or you just literally like
or I'll listen to an audiobook or. No,
so you don't like reading,
but I guess maybe I do a lot for work, and so it's like then I
reading
probably
is
should
work.
Want it. Yeah, well, I probably should want to read something like this that's kind of off topic that gets my mind on something else. But I just need to not be such a lazy reader. I need to read more.
Gotcha. So it's just nice. Audiobooks nice. You can just kind of disengage and just listen. You're
eyes,
not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But hey, right. I need to read more. I keep buying books too. So.
I mean, my wife would agree with you. You should read more.
Yeah, and my wife would too. She read Well, she does audiobooks too, so.
But she my wife does audiobooks.
Read she did 100+ books last year, 120 something. Yeah,
nice.
My wife is on fire when it comes to reading her audiobooks.
Yeah, that's how my wife is too.
Yep, but being well read is a good thing to be. So I need to,
even if it's all audiobooks.
Yeah,
somebody read that book for you.
Yeah, but there's no pictures in audiobooks. I like a good picture.
Yeah, but isn't that the pictures in your mind?
True.
That's what a book is, right? Yeah. Even if it's read by Morgan Freeman or lesser.
There you go.
Yeah. Sometimes they're not even famous, right?
Morgan Freeman. All
right.
Thanks again to Mutton's Choice gloves. Yeah, if you're
powerlifting gloves. Don't forget powerlifting gloves. Yeah. They're just gloves unless you say powerlifting.
And if you got anything else in your mouth, spit it out. Only ingest the finest Mutton's Choice powerlifting gloves. I think I thought you
were gonna make a plug for mutton powerlifting creatine or mutton powerlifting whey protein.
No, the gloves are made of creatine and
my god, edible gloves.
Whey.
You just eat protein. The gloves after your workout.
After you powerlift,
you just eat the gloves right off.
That's the beauty of the Mutton's Choice. Yeah,
that's the beauty of the Mutton's Choice. Of course it is.
It'll be good to hang out with old Nick in a few weeks here.
You guys should have fun.
Yeah,
you guys should have fun.
That'll be fun.
You're gonna make him take you for
experience the OG.
I guess you guys are gonna meet at Tinley. He won't be bringing the vet.
No, this will be a Carpet Fest. He's going to Carpet Fest.
Yeah, but
at least
not bringing the vet.
Rumors to that, but yeah, I'm not sure if he's
still not bringing the vet.
No, he'll fly. Yeah, I'm sure. Unless he wants a long cross country, him and Ryan could Thelma and Louise it across America.
Fucking awesome. That would be super awesome.
Getting chased by the cops and
I totally want to see that.
Yeah. I think Photoshop might be in order for this.
Ryan, let's make that happen. Come on, Ryan. Come on.
I'll get a picture of them holding hands at Carpet Fest, and we'll stick them in a.
We'll just we can make that shit happen.
Have it going over a cliff. That'll be good stuff. Yeah,
if Owen can be a scholarly Wookiee, those motherfuckers can be Thelma and Louise for sure.
All right. Well, attend Carpet Fest. We only have a few more weeks until it's happening. Wish my co-host were coming along. That would be good.
I know.
What do you do?
Sorry.
What do you do? But it should be a good time. I'm excited to experience the OG Festival of the Carpets. It should be good times. I found out, do not expect them to have T-shirts there for sale. Buy your shirt before you come, because they're on Teespring store.
Gotcha.
I got in trouble. I was on their on the chat on their YouTube live cast or whenever they record last week sometime. Mm-hmm. Well, when is now? Whenever you're listening to this might be far along after Eric and Owen discussed Carpet Fest. But I asked, hey, can we purchase shirts there? And because I didn't hear where they said they were on Teespring.
Oh, no.
And no one's like, I'm a doctor, wants something special. We'll have one for you. And Eric's like, no, dude, I'll buy you one and I'll have it there. He's like being nice. And Owen's all ripping on me. So yeah, we can tell where the love comes from.
That's right.
The Podfather is but I told him, I bought mine on Teespring. It's getting shipped. I'll have mine. So
if you were all hairy like a Wookiee, you would be grumpy too.
when you're part Wookiee, that's, trying to hide it from the world.
That's right.
Yeah, you would be grumpy. So now it'll be good to see the guys hang out. I get to travel with Rob, so that'll be fun to, hang out with him again and go herp out in Pennsylvania.
Herping out.
Hoping to add a couple species to the life list.
Nice.
It should be a good time. I'm looking forward to seeing some old friends and putting some faces to names if I can remember names.
I was gonna say putting some faces to. Well, man, I'll see some faces. I'll see some faces.
Yeah. I'll get some faces. And then I'll promptly forget the names that go with those faces. And then I'll be a jerk.
Like, introduce yourself and then I'll forget.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Me, dude. That's me, too.
That's the way it goes. I have to,
feel bad.
Like, after somebody says their name, I have to, like, sit there and go, okay.
Yeah.
Jim,
I do.
Jim.
So Jim. I do that. I do that.
Yeah.
Then I forget it. And then I never forget it after I have to be like, hey, dude.
What's your name
I'm
again?
really sorry. Yeah. I know you just told me your name. What was it one more time?
Yeah.
Bob. Got it. I'll never forget. And I don't. After that, I embarrass myself and
once
I have to ask.
Once the embarrassment's there.
I never forget it. I don't know why my brain can't make the transition to asshole. Just remember it this time so you don't have to ask next time. I don't know why it can't make that small pivot. But it seems to not be able to.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's a conundrum. I guess maybe that's age too. I don't know. Maybe
it's brain damage.
Never could remember names. Heidi's great at it. She remembers names. Like
that is business. Why you two complete each
other. That's why we're a good couple.
That's right.
Yep. Well, anything else we need to talk about? We mentioned the Gecko Symposium at Tinley in October.
Get your tickets.
Carpet Fest, August 12th for Carpet Fest.
Be there. Don't buy your shirts there, though.
Don't expect a shirt.
Don't do that.
Unless you're special like me and get special treatment.
Unless you're special, yep, that's right. And if you need special treatment, you got to go to Owen for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Owen gives all the special treatment at Carpet Fest.
Oh, I guess maybe I can't talk about that. Never mind.
Don't talk about that. What?
Yeah,
Can you talk about that with me?
Really, Pythons Radio is getting a new podcast. So that's all I'll leave it at. But.
Are Mutton and Lucas finally publishing?
Oh, no, not.
Oh my God,
that's an old podcast. That is
that going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know the mind of Mutton. Yeah.
What is he
Lucas? I think Lucas said they have a few.
Is he trying to build back tension now? He's like,
I don't know.
We'll just make it so mysterious.
He told me come out of nowhere. He told me he wanted to have like 5 or 6 episodes in the can before he released one, so he wouldn't like make a big deal. Like, here's the pod, but they already put out the little teaser and they already said they were doing it. So it's like, well, it's kind of out of the bag already, and everybody's just getting impatient or like, come on, dude, just release the thing, you know? So I don't know. One of those things. So hopefully we'll hear some Mutton and Lucas podcasts here soon, but I'm not holding my breath. But it's another one. It's not that one. It's a different one.
Come on, release the audio.
No, I can't. I'm just gonna do a little spoiler for everybody. No, it's not spoiler. Teaser. I'm teasing you all. I'm a herpetoculturalist, not a herpetologist. So yeah, listen for the Podfather to make an announcement at some point. I suppose he'll get the word out. I'm sure he did announce it in the chat, so you can go check it out there. Aren't you in the chat, Chuck?
Yeah, but I think my notifications were going crazy, so I turned them off. I'll pop into the chat every once. No, dude, I'm telling you, like, I am disengaging majorly with social media stuff. Fair enough.
Get off his lawn.
I know. No, dude, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's
I'm leaving.
I just don't draw a lot of like satisfaction out of it anymore. Sure. You know, I like what I like. I have what I like. I'm doing what I like, and I'm good. You know, like. Yeah. So no, I don't know.
As long as you don't make the announcement, I'm leaving Facebook, and then come back a week later. So what's going on, guys? What's new?
So after a much long hiatus, I'm back. So I'll be going through my emails, and if I don't get to you right away, I will soon.
I think it's a good sign of a sound mind to leave social media, probably pretty frequently. So that's probably shows. I'm not the
I just don't engage with it. Yeah. Like, you know, like I mean,
I like pretty pictures of snakes, so Instagram suits me well.
Yep.
I like
seeing and I do. I scroll Instagram a lot, but I don't like, you know, Facebook or, you know, just I just don't.
I do like a lively discussion, but they usually devolve so quickly you don't get much out of them. Yeah. It's kind of tricky.
I do like a lively discussion.
Anyway, speaking of which, visit the Morelia Pythons Radio website. Then you can see all the cool podcasts they have. And what a great network. All of them. Well, I don't know about all now. Not the new one. So I guess we'll see when Eric and Owen will make that announcement. But should be a good one. Should be a cool one.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, guess we're out. Anything else to announce?
Nope.
Okay. Thanks for listening, and hope you enjoyed this little discussion on Reptile Fight Club.
I have nothing to give you all. Good night.
Fight Club.